The purpose of this video is to help you assemble your new Mankar Lance that will arrive in a box like this. The only tool that you will need is a Phillips screwdriver, so we'll start work. So we've unpacked the contents of the box, and this is what you should have to make up your Lance. First of all, the 6-volt battery pack is here. The handle, which also mounts the battery with the switch mechanism, the cover for the switch, one little circlip for securing the pipe onto this fitting here, the spray hood, the Lance shaft with the calibration mechanism at the end there, the chemical bottle, carry strap, elasticated carry strap, the battery charger with its UK adapter, a hat, the instruction manual and a calibration measure. The first job is to attach the spray hood onto the Lance shaft. To do that, you have to remove this Phillips screw from the shaft and then plug the plug on the end there into the socket on the end there, and push those until they align. Make sure all the holes are lined. Put the screw back in place and initially get it started by hand so that you don't cross the thread. The pipe which feeds the chemical to the atomizer there has to be attached to the calibration valve, the bottom of the calibration valve, and there's a little Jubilee clip there, pipe clip, which goes onto the pipe. The pipe is pushed onto the fitting, so, and then we simply tighten up the Jubilee clip with the appropriate screwdriver. Okay, so that is now as it should be. The next part of the assembly, we're going to put the handle assembly and attach it to the shaft. There's a small knurled knob there which you need to unscrew, locate them together, so, and tighten the screw. Once you've done that part of the operation, you can then start to connect the wires up to the wires from the handle and the switch. And it's quite simple. This tube here, which comes up the Lance, goes through that little hole underneath and then up and under and onto that hose tail on the bottom of the switch. Now you'll find this operation is much easier to do if it's dampened and if you soak that in a cup of hot water, which will soften the plastic so it will push easily onto the hose tail. We've heated that piece of pipe to soften it and pushed it up onto the hose tail on the bottom of the switch there, which completes that bit. We can now connect the wires up to the switch. You can't get the wires wrong, they all have different fittings that will only connect to each other. So the round one there goes onto the other round terminal of the switch and is pushed on, and the spade connector from the Lance shaft there goes into that spade connector there, female part of it. And then you can push those back up into the shaft handle a little bit there, just to put them to one side. The next section is we put a cover over the wiring here, which tidies it up. And this is the cover that will fit over this wiring and hide it away out of sight and tuck it out of harm's way. The tube there goes through the hole in the grey fitting, and the grey box goes over like that. But to secure it in place now, you need your Phillips screwdriver again, because you'll need to slacken that screw there about 5 or 6 millimeters and push it down into place like that. The wire here coming out of the bottom should fit into the groove in the bottom of the box there, and the whole thing should be pressed firmly in place back against the handle, and then simply tighten the screw. The next part of the operation, we'll put the herbicide bottle in place. There is a right way and a wrong way round for this. The right way round is for this fitting here to be on the lower side, the lance side, in that direction, because when the lance is held and tipped, you want the chemical to drain out of that low point there. So we push it into the fitting here that way round and push it down so until it's held firmly and about 1/4 of the way down. We only then need to connect the tube to this hose tail, and once again I'm going to soften this bit of tube in some hot water because it makes it so much easier to push onto that hose tail fitting. The next point of the assembly, it's best to do the strap, because once the battery's in place you can't slide that ring here onto the shaft there. So it's best to put your strap onto the lance now. The upper fixing with this split ring goes into this fitting here on the top of by the bottle there. There's a little hole there, mounting point for it. So, and the lower part of the handle, the strap, goes onto the shaft, and to do that you will need to take out the battery securing knob there, feed that ring through there and onto the shaft there. Finally, the battery pack, that's the last part that you need to assemble. Just feed the wire through the end of the battery pack and push the battery pack onto the handle, getting the hole there in line with the hole in the battery so that you can screw in the knurled securing nut again. There you go. That's it. Okay, so we've now assembled the lance. It's ready to use. It'll need calibrating. The connection for the battery to the lance is connected, so this is the wire into that charging socket, and if you press the control knob now, you should hear the atomizer hum, and you know that that is now working. For charging, you will need to plug the battery charger here into the charging socket on the back here. So, then you plug that into the wall and switch it on. And it's important that that sequence is observed, because if you charge the other way round, there is a danger of blowing the fuse, which is there. Thank you. Here's a tip how to get the very best use out of the elasticated strap and have the best ergonomic use of the lance. If you're right-handed, move the hood to the right-hand side of your body, so, holding the strap across the front of your body, and put it over your head as if it was a camera strap. So, Then pivot the lance round, tucking the battery back under your right arm. If you were left-handed, you would do it exactly the opposite way round, with the hood on the left-hand side of your body. This position gives you maximum freedom of movement. The lance can swing forward easily in an unrestricted way, and for spraying larger areas you can turn the hood of the lance so, and it swings like a pendulum with no weight whatsoever as you move forward to cover the ground. The on-off button allows you to spot spray by pressing this button here. That both connects the electrical circuit to the atomizer and allows the chemical to run through at the same time. If you want to spray continuously, you can lock this on by pressing it down and turning that little tab clockwise until it locks in place. To release it, press against the tab and turn it anti-clockwise. It's really important to try and get the ergonomics of the lance sorted so that you minimise all forms of strain. Adjusting the strap to the right height is essential so that when the lance is positioned perhaps 3 or 4 inches above the ground in its natural spraying position, it's held there weightless and in the right position. That allows you then to lift it and stretch downwards or move in any direction using the elastic on the strap. Because of the way the upper mounting of the strap is mounted near the bottle, in its natural position it tends to twist the bottle over at an angle towards your body. And it's very easy then, looking down, to see that the hood of the lance is no longer level on the ground. An operator will unconsciously correct this by trying to twist it back with his wrist against the pull of the strap, and this causes wrist strain here. Easily avoided, very easily avoided. Just slacken the clamp screw there, and when it's in its natural position, twist it so that the hood is now level with the ground when that is at an angle. In that position, the lance can rest completely unheld, and it will be parallel to the ground and at the right height, so that when it's in your hand and under your control, it is utterly weightless.